So obviously we're doing this, but whenever this is wrapping up, are you going to go straight into McFarlane's
Superpowers?
superpower discussion, or are you waiting till?
We can, because that'll be short.
Okay. Yeah.
You can air your
It'll be
grievance.
short because I don't like it.
You can air your grievances
Yeah.
on the non-superpowers. Superpowers.
I mean, it was the whole thing. It was the whole point.
Hey, and welcome to a new episode of That Toy Dude. I'm Jamie.
And I'm John.
And tonight we are going through history of the DC figures, starting with what we found to be probably the very first DC figure, very early on, Superman doll.
I was about to say, I think it's a doll,
Yeah,
not a.
yeah, but that's what they were back
Yeah.
then. The dolls, and then they became shorter and where we know them now as figures. But it was in 1940. Some say it might be 1939. And of course, Superman was created in 1938. And DC Comics hired the two creators of Superman, Jerry and Joe. And so they sold it to DC Comics, and the rest is history. And so they created this 13-inch wooden doll. As you can see right now, it's glossy and it's very round in places, like a wooden doll would be. A few points of articulation there, and very nicely painted.
The paint job is something else. I really like, especially for the time period, the shoulders, elbows, and knees look really good. A lot of times, the more articulation you get in a figure, especially modern ones, the higher quality the figure is. And with these ball joints, it definitely looks like they put quite a bit of articulation in something so early.
Right, and even the face, you see the face here, you've got all kinds of different flesh colors working there, with your lips and the cheeks being rosy red, and just, a lot of work was put into making these dolls.
And that might be why they're so rare now. Even with my work and my collection and everything and all the research I've ever done, I've never came across one of these. I've never even came across a part of one of these.
Yeah.
I would imagine, without looking into it, that these were not a high production as far as quantity wise.
Yeah.
They look hand painted,
Yeah.
which
And I'm
would
sure
have
it
taken a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have been hand painted too. I mean, the craftsmanship is there. Even the S logo, that's the logo that appears in the first comic of Superman in Action Comics. And the toy company was called Ideal Novelty and Toys Company. And it came in a cardboard box, Superman doll, and it had the toy company name and supposedly the number.
Oh yeah, if they numbered them, then yeah. there wasn't very many.
Yeah. But then you have this logo of Superman breaking chains across his chest, which, if you've seen the new Superman movie of this year, 2025, this is the logo that DC Comics uses now, and they've animated it where he breaks the chains. And so I think that was a very creative logo for DC Comics to do, for the movies now, for the new DCU. This I found on a website, and it was the winning bid was $5,600 or $5,060. So I mean, it's an old figure. So it
For
would,
the one in the condition of the one that you showed.
yeah,
That I mean, that's actually a lot lower than I thought it would have been in that condition.
well, it does say
Because that looked almost perfect condition.
yeah, it does say that it was sold in July 16th, 2015.
Okay.
So it's 10 years ago, pretty much.
And since then, we have seen a huge boom in the collector's economy,
Yeah.
which is completely separate than any other economy.
It has changed so much. Even the video games, the collecting those video games, it surges because a lot more people are getting into this stuff. And you know, when collecting my toys as a child, I thought, I'd be through them. Just pack them up and they'd stay packed up. But then I started learning, why not display them? Why not, save them, from the Florida heat
Yep.
in the attic. And so that's what I have been doing. And that's what many people are doing, even though they may not be in the heat in Florida. Still, it's a job. It's a hobby.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is, when our generations that grew up in we remember the late 70s or MISO later 80s, early 90s, it was a much more happier time. And I think that I know me personally, whenever I'm doing something, whether I'm drawing things from my childhood, or I'm sculpting, or I'm writing about it, or I'm learning about it, just anything that has to do with reminiscing the nostalgia, playing old video games, there's almost like a calm of going back to when times were simpler.
Yeah.
It's not to me. It's not about I'm still a kid, I play with toys, which I don't think I wouldn't say I play with them, but it has nothing to do with that part of not growing up. It has to do with the ability to go back.
Yeah.
And I think that has been triggered by a lot of people over the past, say, 5 years, especially, with all the things that people's been through, locally, worldwide. I mean, just name it, and it's happened. We're playing Jumanji. So I think that helped the collector's market a lot, because a lot of people started realizing that nostalgia wasn't just a nerd thing. It's almost like a psychological thing. And, if you come from better times, then, sending your mind back there it's very therapeutic.
It is. And it, like you said, in the 80s, 90s, those were good times. And to think about those, and it just brings back good memories of playing with your toys. A lot of people don't have their toys that they used to have. And a lot of people that are collectors, they're trying to collect the toys that they had. And so thankfully, I was one of the people that saved almost every toy unless it broke or it rotted or whatever happened to it. And so I've got all these toys plus collecting more toys. I'm out of room. But it's a fun thing. And it makes you feel good. And if it makes you feel good, why not? And so with the Superman doll, that for at least DC, that starts it off with the toy line. As far as I know, if anybody else knows something different, leave a comment and let us know, and we'll look into it and we'll mention it next time. But as we're moving up, into the years, there really wasn't much in the 40s, was there?
No, there, the 40s, 50s, and a lot of the 60s, they did a lot of what a lot of people probably remember Star Trek doing. And it's like you took this item that kind of already was,
Yeah.
and you slapped a logo on it. So let's just blanket that as saying merchandise.
Right.
So there was quite a bit of DC merchandise throughout those years. You had your lunch boxes, you had your yo-yos, you had
Yeah.
your that kind of thing. But as far as any high production toy lines that kids were asking for Christmas or that were advertised or anything like that, I think that those years were kind of slimmed down until probably about the 60s.
Yeah.
And the 60s brought in the Captain Action doll, which was a 12-inch doll that it was like a base figure, and then you would buy separately the superhero costumes. And it was made by Ideal Toy Company, and it looks like they did several different costumes for the figure, not limited to DC. They had Superman, Batman, Aquaman, the Phantom, Flash Gordon, Green Hornet, and they even went over into Marvel and had Captain America.
Yeah. And I believe some of these toy companies did the same, DC and Marvel all together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually looked at one video on YouTube, and it was the figures of just they were different colors. And they were all the same color, or there was a variant of like orange or red or green. And that comes later, doesn't it?
Later on in the 60s,
Yeah.
that would be Marx, who is well known for so many different things. I personally didn't know that they did DC until recently, but Marx is it's almost always going to be a single plastic mold, much like an Army Man. But they did some larger things. They had 8, 10-inch figures. I know they did astronaut lines and Native American lines and big army men, and
Right.
they did a whole bunch of stuff. They had Disney for a while, I think,
Yeah.
and apparently they had DC.
Okay.
Of course, these were going to be for the high imaginative kids, without being able to move the arms and legs, and it's like playing army men.
Right. You just move them around, push them around. Yeah. So yeah, and then we've got 60s still with the Batman show
Yeah.
with Adam West, Burt Ward, and that was Batmania, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Other than the Corgi diecast vehicles, which would have came around that time, which the vehicles of the 1966 Batman, like
Yeah.
they weren't just making cars. I mean, they were having to make some pretty elaborate vehicles for the show, which they all look good.
Right.
Other than that, from the 66 show, you did get a lot more of that merchandise.
Yeah.
Puzzles, board games, lunch boxes, although they were featuring now the 66 Batman and Robin. But it was Corgi had the vehicles, and I think just about the rest of it was going to be just kind of a blanket merchandise
Yeah.
market.
And I think some of the Batman products also, because Star Trek aired in the 60s as well, the original series. And so you'd see a Batman toy turn into like a Star Trek toy, slap a different sticker on it, and
Yeah.
it's Spock's binoculars or something. I'm making this up, but
Yeah. And instead of the bat binoculars, now it's it's like you said, Spock's binoculars, and if you had them side by side, you're like, wait a second, it's a different sticker.
And I've got something right here. This, you sold it to me at the toy store.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Bat Scope. Do you remember what year it was? 1966.
66, yep.
Yeah.
So this would be one of those things that, was this in an episode? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. He had a lot of bat stuff.
Yeah.
Bat shark repellent spray.
Yeah. I use that whenever I go to the beach.
Yeah.
But some toy line was making a periscope. So we made black ones, and it was the Batman scope.
Yeah. And it's got the label right there, Bat Scope. With the bat signal on it too. Very cool piece. Glad you came across it and let me know about it.
And for 66, this thing is in a remarkable shape. I wish we still made things with the same quality that we used to, which I know a lot of times changes are necessary for our advancement and realizing what's in materials and having to change and take this out. But for the most part, I do think it's cost cutting.
Yeah. Could you imagine a toy having glass?
Oh yeah.
This has a mirror in it. This is actual almost like a
Two mirrors.
telescope. Yeah, 2 mirrors.
At least 2 mirrors. I think
least.
there's more mirrors throughout it to make it.
So this is basically a telescope, and you can use it, and it has a zoom. Built. You look into it, and you can see a little bit further out.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I'm trying to say. This is cool. They don't make toys like this anymore. And even though it's like a piece of plastic, toy manufacturers don't do this. And it's very rare, and it was awesome to come across this and be able to add this to my collection. So yeah. So that's the Bat Scope. Not sure where he puts that in his utility belt.
Well, it has a belt clip.
There you go. But where does it go?
It's right there on the outside.
Things just seem to appear that are larger than his pockets on his.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one cool thing.
So moving on to the 70s was probably the start of the DC toy line that most people are going to remember, which is going to be the Migos.
The Migos.
They were made in doll fashion, but they did a really good job with it. I think that, especially the ones from DC, I think they nailed everybody pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing one like I love the Joker. I love the Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
They did Aquaman. Probably my biggest complaint, if I had one, would be the material chosen for capes.
Yeah.
This material was just I'm not a seamstress. I don't know the
Ribbon?
the term.
Maybe?
It was like a big flat ribbon.
Yeah.
So one little nick, one little fray,
Right.
and this thing would just completely unravel.
Mm-hmm.
So in the collector world, in the toy market world, the Migos that come in that are supposed to have capes, you see them in 2 conditions. Absolute garbage, or they're utterly perfect.
Yeah.
There's not really like a happy medium where it's like, oh, okay, I can live with that.
Yeah.
It's let's cut that off.
You can't bend it.
Yeah.
You can't bend those capes. But yeah, I've got 2 reproductions of what they're selling now, of course, because the retro stuff is in. Yet people want the toys that they had. And this is one way of fulfilling that dream goal without spending a ton of money, for just the average person who wants their toys,
Yeah.
from back then. And even not just them, but, a new generation like us. I mean, we probably would only come across the old ones if our parents had them, and pass them down the line. But we've got the Batman and Robin here that I
And
picked up.
Your modern reproductions, these are actually reproduced by the company that did the originals, wasn't it?
I want to say so.
These were in cardboard boxes, slender cardboard boxes.
I think it was more like the Superpowers.
Okay.
The one Hyperspace has some of them. The toy store.
Okay. So that's going to be
like the female Joker and the Penguin and
Figure Toy Company.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
what that's called. Which I'm not sure on the business aspect, their ties to Mego or permissions or anything like that. But they made them, I mean, even these capes, this is exactly what I was talking about that ribbon, where the threads are just so perfectly laid in line that one little nick and everything just starts to fall apart.
And because they were packaged, some of the capes get bent, and so you have a permanent crease where it was in the package that
Yeah.
way. And so I don't know of any other way to get that out except for maybe apply a little bit of heat to it, maybe. Who knows? But they've done a really good job. You've got the costumes, which is, what would you call this fabric here?
Ribbon.
Ribbon? Yeah, I guess
It's about the
that's
same
that's
as
ribbon.
several of the original Migos, though. So I've never seen a really good looking 70s Robin because as you can see, his whole costume is that ribbon material.
Yeah.
So it runs the risk of the same thing.
Well, I believe
But
the sleeves
His sleeves
and
is
the pants.
Yes.
The undies.
The sleeves is actually what the majority of everybody else's costumes were made of. So, Joker, well, I've seen tons of perfect looking Jokers because he's wearing almost like a pajama onesie that's actual cloth. And then you put the gloves and boots on, and it's the purple pinstripe costume.
Yeah.
But it's actually cloth. So it held up a lot better. Let me see what Batman's wearing here. Yeah, so Batman is almost exactly like that, where just his cape is the ribbon material. Everything else to do with his costume, as far as the clothes are considered, are it's more of a cloth material. The gloves is a super, super, super thin plastic.
Yeah.
Almost like a pressed vinyl.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of the oven mitt style gloves. I probably would have lost my gloves on purpose.
Yeah.
Because they do have halfway decent looking hands. There's nothing wrong with their hands.
I think, with Robin, I mean, I guess it's hard to do, fabric this small, maybe. And so you see his shoulder green arm pieces a lot longer, and so you hardly see the skin between his sleeves and the gloves. Especially on this, it just almost goes into the glove itself. But yeah, you've got this the stretchy belt here. Spandex, I guess, or something
And
like
a lot of times, I think it did differ from character to character. I'm not positive on this, but as far as the symbols on their chests, I think that some of them were possibly stickers or almost like an iron-on,
Yeah.
and then others were more like dyed or painted into the fabric, which is actually funny that Batman has a sticker, which kind of checks with that. A lot of the Mego superheroes that I've seen from the 70s, but in today's age, I've probably seen more Sharpie marker superhero symbols on the chests than I have the original way that they were made. So, the superhero emblems on the chest, they just didn't hold up, and whether they got rubbed off or played with, or the stickers fell off. But almost every kid had the same idea of going and grabbing a permanent marker and drawing their own bat or
Yeah.
their own S or their own.
definitely. Definitely.
I've seen so many of them with the permanent
Yeah.
marker symbols.
I know that some of my first figures, especially the Superpowers line, the Batman, the symbol wore off a little bit. Luckily, Mom just got me a new one. So that's what solved that, But I was probably kind of afraid to use the marker as a kid. I don't know. Some toys I wasn't afraid with the marker, but yeah, that's what you do. I mean, and of course you can see that the cowl comes off and Robin's mask comes off as well, so you can have their secret identities revealed to the public. Or if you've got a bat cave, they can walk around the bat cave freely. But yeah.
So I brought something similar, and it's going to be the Green Arrow version of what you have in the package. Now this isn't how Megos were packaged, but this is how specifically Figure Toy Company packaged theirs. And Green Arrow being my favorite superhero, of course I picked this up when I saw it.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that he had to have came later in the line, because you see a lot of things, especially with toy lines, like you see Robin's cape and the material and the gloves that they're wearing, and then later on you're like, oh, okay, they actually just put green hands on the Green Arrow instead of giving him green oven mitts.
Right. Which
and-
this looks much better.
Yeah. So this is the same company, same reproduction line, same everything. So just all in all, this is as close to the Green Arrow Mego that you can get without getting it from Mego. And quality-wise, is much better than the original DC ones, which would have been Batman and Robin and Joker and those. But I think that they just learned and started making them a little better. Of course, we are talking about a time where companies were worried about quality, so they were
Right.
stepping up instead of stepping down.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of that in the later, more unknown characters are better quality than the better known characters, because the better known characters were released first.
Yeah.
And so Wonder Woman, I don't remember if she had a cape, but if she did, she probably doesn't have a cape like Robin's. It's probably a little better.
Yeah.
So that's funny how they did that. I really do like the Aquaman Mego, and I did find it in this same line from Figure Toy Company.
Cool.
But in the package, as you can see where Jamie opens his packages, I leave mine closed. One of his oven mitts fell off
Oh no.
in the package and was down at the bottom of the package for the Aquaman.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't buy it. It would aggravate the living crap out of me that I either have to open this
Yeah.
or his oven mitts at the bottom of the package for the rest of his life. So I would have the Aquaman side by side with my Green Arrow, but that's the reason that I currently don't.
Yeah. Wait for the next Aquaman.
Yeah. But specifically, before we get off Mego, which I know we're talking about Figure Toy Company, but in their relation to
Yeah.
their Mego reproductions, they did a fantastic job with their character lineup. You had the Riddler, you had Shazam, Aquaman, the Joker. You had they did a lot of the 66 Batman ones, which you didn't even get from Mego.
Yeah.
So they did Egghead,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
the 66 Penguin, the Catwoman. They even did off-the-wall characters like Duella Dent, who was a character that claimed to be the daughter of multiple DC villains, not exclusive to, but mainly the Joker's daughter, which I don't think that it was ever confirmed that she was any of their daughters. She was a bad girl, though.
Right.
But man, this company, they really pushed them out. I know that in an episode of the Comic Book Guys, is that
That sounds right.
Kevin Smith's
Yeah.
comic book store?
Yeah.
I saw in the background that they had an entire wall of Figure Toy Company figures just like this
Wow.
one. And it just blew my mind that I thought they were cool, but then when I realized that they made so many, I'm like, holy cow. So after Mego, well, actually, probably during the same time as Mego, you had a lot of the DC merchandise, like we talked about earlier, but it was getting more related to the actual DC universe.
Yeah.
It wasn't just slapping a logo on something. You had things like the Colorform set, the Master Reels, better board games. And then, of course, in the late 70s, you had your Superman movie merchandise.
Right.
Which I'm not sure about the toy line, but I know that there would have been a lot of, because that movie killed.
Yeah.
There would have been a lot of movie merchandise for that. But yeah, getting out of the whole, I have a Batman backpack or a Batman bicycle helmet. It's more into the things that were made with the character in mind and
Right.
not the other way around.
Now, this toy line is very close to my heart.
Mine too.
This is what really started it as far as for me in the 80s. This is 1984. I thought I had a lot of figures back then. I did not realize that I don't have the entire collection whenever I was a kid. But these were the figures that I played with. I've added a couple, 3 to my original collection since then. But I would play the heck out of these guys, and made so many adventures with them. I even had some of the Secret War Marvel heroes.
Yeah, those started coming out in '84 as well.
And so those were mixed in. At the time, I didn't really know there was DC and Marvel. Just thought they all went together. They're all superheroes to me. So.
Yeah, it's like a kid not understanding why a restaurant only has Pepsi products.
Right. And not Coke, your favorite, or whatever. But yeah, my favorite, of course, became Batman and Robin. Because at the time, I would be watching the Super Friends show, which was a cartoon that aired, as well as they had repeats of the 1960s Adam West, the Batman classic series.
Which the Batman and Robin that they chose for this line isn't. I'm not going to say it's based on them, but it's. I would call it the 3 3/4 scale of those guys because
Yeah.
they've got the right colors, they've got the right costumes. I do see a little bit more of maybe some comic book look to it versus the TV show. But I do think that they definitely held the 66 Batman in regards whenever they were designing these.
Yeah. And so for me, it was exactly what I needed for, playing the classic Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And I did notice that the figures were different, and that that there were more, they were the Superpowers line. So each of these figures had some sort of gimmick, so that you squeeze the legs, and let me pull these arms up. I mean, they're old, so some of them don't really
Every
work.
one of them would do something.
Yeah. So this is like punching for that. And then Robin, he had the karate chop.
One of my favorites was the Flash, who instead of squeezing his legs, does your Flash work?
It's yours.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, I sometimes sell my collections to the toy store that I work at, where Jamie shops. So this was actually my Flash. So
I bought his Flash.
this Flash should work, but so I would like to do it like this, and then whenever you squeeze his arms,
Bring it down some.
the left foot isn't kicking. He has little gears in him, and you got to get it just right. But you would squeeze his arms, and if you did it fast enough, there you go.
Yeah.
You get his legs moving almost in a blur for Flash. That was definitely one of my favorites. Another favorite superpower of mine, and this was, toys were pretty plain Jane in the 80s. I mean, you had action figures, but like even G.I. Joes, they didn't have, it was all pretend.
Yeah.
You could pose them, you had your weapons, you had all that, but the rest of it was pretend. They didn't really do anything.
Right.
Wonder Woman has a fantastic superpower, which I thought was awesome, that it's showcased in almost every movie she's ever been in. When you squeeze her legs, she actually...
Bring it down lower. So, yeah.
They don't stay up right now, but I'll do it really slow. She actually hits her armbands together.
Yeah. Which, what was that? What happened when she would do that, though?
It would,
I forget.
so, to give it an example in more of a modern era, imagine in the Avengers when Thor hit Captain America's shield with Mjolnir.
Mm-hmm.
So just with her
Surge of
strength
power.
and with the metal that those were made out of, it just created almost like a sonic boom.
Right. Okay.
Not so much. I think it was more of a defensive, more of a pushback than it was an offensive move. Hawkman here flapped his wings pretty good.
And I know that Aquaman's legs are supposed to wave back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't remember what triggers it. It's the arm. So you've got that action where he can swim.
And any of these guys that came with accessories in the collector world, the accessories is definitely where the money is.
Yeah.
Almost all of the Superpowers line, with the exception of a couple handfuls, their base figures, even in great shape, they're not that much. They're highly reasonable. We're talking depending on popularity, 10 to 20 bucks for a base figure.
Right.
Now there's other ones that are different, like Plastic Man and more of the limited released ones that came later. But the accessories are ridiculous for some of them.
Yeah. Green Arrow right here. Everybody, pretty much everyone has lost his arrows, and these are not his arrows, obviously, to any toy collector. These are 3D printed that I ordered, and these aren't even looking like they should be with the original toys. Now, I kept up with a lot of stuff, but I have no idea. I scoured through the whole storage unit, bins and bins and bins, to see if I can find, and I could not find them. So I had paid probably 15 bucks or so to get these 3D printed ones. Now, the arrow is nice, the bow, that part. I'm going to paint those at some point.
But like Aquaman, working superpower, good condition, no paint chips, in otherwise fantastic shape. $10 to $15,
Yeah.
I would say. You throw in his trident
Yeah.
that is not bent, not broken, and not chewed on, and you now have a $50 to $60 figure.
Yeah. And most of these Aquaman toys, if they were really played with, they were played in with the water.
Yep.
And do you recall if there's any metal components in these figures at all?
You know, the only one that I've ever seen the inside of was my Brainiac.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was.
Yeah. So,
Although Brainiac, I'm not going to show his superpower because the kind of plastic that they used, which it was a plastic different than the others, that would hold this metallic paint better, I think. And a lot of older metallic toys that has that chrome finish, the plastic that they used, which I'm only assuming was to, it's a different kind of paint, it's a different chemical makeup, and it needed to stick. So that's why I think that they used a different kind of plastic, is because there was problems with it sticking. I see, like on his elbow still, it even rubbed off a little bit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't rub off, it flakes off.
yeah.
This figure was brittle straight out of the package.
Right.
And you're generally going to run into them with an arm issue. Me and Jamie were both lucky enough that our childhood Brainiacs broke in such a way that you could put the arm back on.
Yeah. And it's simple. It comes off. Now, my part here is broken. So, but the arm itself
You
is
actually
not
have a
broken.
good arm.
But yeah, I've got a good arm. The piece here that the arm connects onto, the pivot or whatever you want to call it, is halfway broken. And so it just kind of rests on there, and you shouldn't really, like if you've got a broken arm Brainiac where you can at least put it back on, shouldn't play with it all that much.
He's done. Retire him.
He's
Put him on the
retired.
shelf, and because the rest of him's going to do the same thing. Now, I have run into a lot of these where instead of the bottom of the arm, more like the armpit part being broken to where you can set the arm back on like that, whether it's the arm or the peg, a lot of them had got broken at the top.
Yeah.
And you'll see pictures of them in eBay postings and stuff, and the arm's just kind of sitting next to Brainiac. And anytime that it's like that, it's like, that's probably not going to go back on there.
This figure, I loved that it was chrome, and the intricate paint pieces on his arm and everything, just to show that he's just a robotic type character, uh, is very, very detailed. I think for an action figure of the 80s,
Yeah.
because you got these little tiny markings and squares and like a circuit board, especially this see-through head here. You see his infrastructure of his brain, basically, and that was a cool piece too. And yeah, they really did break the mold, pretty much when they were making these figures, and this just spells out evil.
Yeah. Which is actually kind of funny because, Brainiac's been around for a while. There's been a lot of variations of Brainiac.
Right.
And some of them may have even been like not just a different version, but almost like a reincarnation. Like, oh, Brainiac's back. He's been rebuilt or this, that, and the other.
Right.
This version that they chose for superpowers is one, to me, is one of the least recognizable Brainiacs. I don't think that this was the version that DC Comics stuck with for very long, or the longest in the comics.
Right.
There were more recognizable versions to me, but for the toy line, this was my Brainiac.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And to learn that he had so many different forms later on in life, that just something about this form, I like. It's like he, could have, and I haven't followed the comics, so I may not even know what I'm talking about, but it seems like he could have like a human form that his, like the Terminator, his skin peels off and then reveals that he's Brainiac. And so
My favorite Brainiac story would definitely probably be the Injustice line that was showcased in the comic books, but also the video games. And so he was the big bad there. And I don't want to spoil anything. However, you can go on YouTube and search for the Injustice and Injustice 2 cutscenes for the video games. And they did such a superb job on the writing for this story that if you find the videos where just all the cutscenes are put together, you're not watching gameplay, you're not watching guys play games or anything like that, you're just watching the cutscenes together. It's like a full-length DC movie. And it is a really, really good story.
yeah, some of these games have great cutscenes. The only thing missing, I think, is put a battery in it and it lights up. But for the time, this was an excellent figure here. And of course, we've got Green Lantern.
I think he just holds his lantern up for his superpower, doesn't he?
Yep. Or his ring finger.
Oh, the ring, yeah.
ring.
Yeah, it was the ring. I knew one of them would come up.
Because that's where the real action goes.
Yeah.
He uses his ring for everything. So yeah. And as a kid, most of these heroes, I didn't know every power that they possessed, and it was just, you played with them. You used your imagination, And
Yeah, but they did such a good job with them. I mean, you could almost learn about the characters by buying the toys.
Right. Oh, and to mention that, with the toys, I think the first two sets of superpower toys included a little comic in it. So most of those also were lost, and I actually came across a couple of them. I don't remember where I had organized them to, but I've got them. I've got at least 2 or 3 that I come across, which was, I was happy that I came across those, because those can be scarce, I think.
Yeah. My early on comic book reading was so tunnel visioned on certain lines and stories that I hadn't learned a lot about other people. And this toy line, like I had mentioned, I didn't know. If you just showed me a picture of Plastic Man and told me his name, I wouldn't have known that he stretched.
Yeah.
But I learned that from this toy line. We don't have one here today, but you can pull his head up and you can pull his torso down, and
Wow.
he would
I didn't know about that.
get pretty tall. And then Red Tornado, it's kind of in his name, but you really didn't know how he did it. And his waist, you could spin his top torso and his bottom torso, and there was a locking mechanism. And as long as you didn't spin it too much and break your rubber band inside, whenever you were done, he could sit there for a while you're playing with the other toys. And then whenever you're ready for Red Tornado to come in, you squeeze his legs and his arms whip out, and he the top of his torso spins around so fast and would annihilate all of your figures. And so whenever I saw Red Tornado, I don't think I ever read a comic book about him, but I saw him in the CW Supergirl show.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, I know what this guy does. So there was a lot of learning and teaching with these figures too.
Yeah. And poor Martian Manhunter. He lost his leg sometime in the 80s. And I've tried to search for his leg and couldn't find it. But his arms do this when, I guess, you squeeze the legs together.
I wonder, with him being one where you squeeze the legs, and knowing how mine was and seeing yours, I wonder if he had an issue with his legs. Because mine had both legs, but they were extremely loose.
Yeah.
Very, very loose. To the point where he didn't even have a superpower anymore.
Yeah.
You could not stand him up on the flattest of surfaces. So he just may have had some hip issues.
And this guy had a cape too, as well. One thing about the capes, if you're wanting to restore some of your capes, the Cape Master, which you can find him online, Instagram, Facebook, and you can also find him on his website as well. I don't remember the name, but I mean, you just search Google for the Cape Master. He reproduces the superpowers capes and all kinds of Kenner and even some of the new stuff. So if you're wanting a replacement cape, or even if you wanted a customized cape, you just talk to him and he'll cut you a deal, you know. And his capes aren't that expensive either. It's like $10 to $12. If you want something extravagant, maybe 15 to 20 maybe. But he does them all, and I've got in a baggie several figures that I don't have, and including Martian Manhunter's cape as well. So once I find a leg, if anybody has a left leg of Martian Manhunter, let me know. I'll buy it from you. But yeah, so especially these Batman and Robin, these capes came from the Cape Master as well. And my other, they're a little bit longer, and I wanted that, you know. And but he does also create the specific length that the superpowers had. So if you wanted the exact length, he'll make those for you. Also with the Superman cape too, he puts the logo on the back as well. Most of these figures from the 80s, if you've played with them so much, the logo gets worn out.
Yep.
And so it was actually printed, I think, on to the cape as well. So yeah, Superman here. You can see, of course, with possibly some coloring, different coloring. The torso is a little bit yellower, just because of age and because of the different plastics that they used.
And like we had mentioned, I think, I don't remember which episode it was mentioned, but a lot of times the toy companies were sourcing out, this factory was making all these legs and this factory was making all these torsos. And whether it be a different country that had different guidelines or whether it be a different state that had different guidelines or anything like that, a lot of them got different kinds of fire retardant chemicals mixed in to make sure that they couldn't catch on fire. A lot of them had different kinds of paint that they would use, or just the complete chemical composition of the plastic. And that would, before I learned that, I looked at a lot of figures like this, and I'm like, how did they only let the sun affect his chest? Or why is only the legs brown?
Right.
Or, where did you stick his legs?
Yeah. It's just his legs.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Everything else looks perfect.
But yeah, I had another Superpowers Superman, and when we got into the 90s and the Superman comics where Superman dies, and then there's the reign of Superman, 4 Supermen claiming to be the risen Superman. And which one is it? And so I just took one of the old ones and painted like half of his arm and legs black for the Eradicator Superman, and then had and it's over there somewhere, his little eyeglass shades, I guess, that he wore. I just painted that on with a marker, and so that's one of the figures that I've marked up, and now I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the Superpower line. And of course, you've got the vehicles too. You've got the villains and the vehicles.
These guys over. The Batmobile was really cool. It was probably one of the ones with the most features on it.
Yeah.
For one, it has its own, it sounds like a car going down the road.
Yeah. Some kids got annoyed by it too, and if they were clever enough, they saw that there was a piece of plastic
Yep.
inside that when you made the car go would just...
And other kids like me saw that and was clever enough to go take a soda pop can and put it on my tire on my bike to where I could make it sound like a motorcycle. But the Batmobile had features like the headlights coming up and down. The front has a working ram.
Yep.
Well, I hit the button before I turned it around. Let me turn it around, and we have a claw.
Claw, and it's supposed to go like this to catch the villain. This I bought from the toy store as well. I already had one, and the windows were all broken.
That is the number one thing on this to look for if you're buying them is definitely look for, you want to grab your windows and kind of shake it a little bit to see how many of the tabs are broken. It's a very, very brittle plastic. These 4 are in, 3 of them are in near perfect shape.
Yeah.
This is one this is why you would wiggle this if you're buying it. These are not moving at all. So this would be, here, let me, I'll do it like this. These rear windows have no wiggle to them. They're not coming out at all.
And see, these two, when you take the thing apart, these two pieces are actually one piece.
Right.
But then the front piece...
The front pieces have these tabs that...
Turn it around so...
So whenever he's on his wheels, you don't notice it. But it does have a... It's not a broken tab, it's just loose.
Yeah.
And then this one is a more cracked windshield that has the same thing. But on its wheels, they do sit in there. They don't fall off, anything like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you come across one of these at a yard sale or something like that, just, you know, you want to check all of your abilities. You want to check the ram, the headlights, the claw in the back, and then just give a little wiggle on those.
And also pay
those
attention
windows.
to where the two pieces come together as well.
Yep.
I mean, some of these are a little bit loose, but I mean, it's still in very good shape. And you could technically go in there, unscrew the screws on the bottom here, and tighten it a little bit if it can be. And you've got to be careful though, because I've done this with the other Batmobile. Let me get that real quick. And we're back. So when I took this one apart, because I had ordered these 3D printed windshields, because this one had none of the windshields there. So this was a Batmobile that I got from a friend long ago in the 90s. And so the windows were already cracked a little bit. So he thought that I didn't want them at all since they were cracked. So he cracked them even more and pulled them off. I'm like, what did you do? But talking about like going in here to put these window shields back on, you've got to be careful with the mechanisms that make all these features
A lot
go.
of rubber bands and levers.
Yeah, and some of it, you know, this comes out, but then like the ramming doesn't want to come out anymore. I'm gonna have to open that guy back up and see what I can do with it. But this one is a lot darker than the one that I bought at the toy store. And so we'll just put them side by side to see the differences here. And it's significantly darker, and either, you know, it's that type of plastic where you leave it in the sun or leave it, you know, in a non-friendly environment.
Yep.
And it almost looks...
It's pretty even though. So I would think that it would be more of age and not lighting or misuse, because it is, although discolored, it's very uniform.
Yeah. And I did get replacement stickers for this as well, because either this or...
Those look really good
Yeah,
compared
yeah.
to the originals over here, because looking at them myself right now, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. But I don't think the side bat symbols are stickers.
No.
No. But what's fascinating that I just saw is that if you look at both the signals on the car, this one's a little bit rounder than this one,
I can see
and a
that.
little bit bigger as well, which is interesting. So we'd have to look at the dates. 1984 is the lighter blue one.
See, this is 84 as well. Ohio. everything about this says that it's even from the same batch.
Interesting.
Number 99780 matches. Both Cincinnati, Ohio, which I think that's just the Kenner headquarters.
Yeah.
But yeah, the number checks out. I'm not seeing any variation difference on the bottom.
Right.
The plastic molds are definitely identical.
Yeah.
I wonder if that just had to do with painting.
Could be.
Not too sure about that. I would really want to look into that because it's not a sticker, but you can feel it.
Yeah. And I don't remember when replacing the stickers. I mean, it did come with some bat symbols, but these were already on there and perfect, so I didn't even think to replace them. And they're not really, you can't really, they're not stickers. Or they're thin enough where it's...
It could have been like a stencil spray paint, where they're going down the line and, you know, they just get a stencil on there for the yellow part and then a stencil for the black part.
Right.
And probably just not making the stencils very uniform as they're having to replace them.
Yeah.
Because it was just an oval and a bat, and probably wasn't thinking about two old men sitting down in 2025 with two of these, comparing them.
How dare we critique their fine work, you know? But yeah, I mean, I never had the Batmobile during the Superpowers line. I wanted it, and I dreamed about it too. Even Christmas, I had this dream where the Batmobile was downstairs. Santa Claus had just come. And so then I wake up, and I'm like, I'm going to get the Batmobile. And it wasn't there. So, yeah, I mean, the Batmobile is what every kid wants, especially if you're a Batman fan. I mean, these fit in the vehicle so well. Oops. Have their capes flying, you know, in the wind here. Of karate chop action. But yeah. One of the things that Superpowers was popular back then, and so Burger King got into the action as well. These are cup holders, and I've got one of the cups. I originally had Wonder Woman and Superman, but only picked up Batman recently at the toy store, and he had his cup as well. And so, so it's just a white cup, and you kind of these figures, cup holders, have these have the little holes in their hands, and you would fit the cup in those holes, and they'd hold your cup, and they'd have a little piece here where the cup would rest, and so you could just pick it up, drink your drink from Burger King. So I really wanted the Batman, but only got Superman and Wonder Woman. And I think also the fourth figure, I just looked it up today, it was Darkseid.
Nice. Speaking of Darkseid and Superpowers, that was one that got overlooked. We don't have one here today. But it was a pretty bulky figure. He had a cape as well. He has an issue finding him with, I think it's one of his arms that there was an issue with. Of course, later on with the aging. But his main thing was, I loved the Batmobile, and it matches the toy line. Then there were so many vehicles that were just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. I didn't want them. They, like, why would Superman need a jet?
Yeah. I
Why
have the
would,
jet.
it's a lot of things that was just like, oh, okay, we're trying too hard. But then we had Darkseid.
Yeah.
And that thing, we'll show a picture of it on the screen. We don't have
Right.
one here.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Oh yeah.
And just looking at the scale to the figures, I mean, you would hold this thing with a pistol grip, and it had probably, if I'm guessing, 2.5, maybe almost 3 foot. No, I'd say probably 2 to 2.5 foot wingspan.
Right.
And it would hold. It had cockpits for his minions, and it also had his cockpit.
Yeah.
And this thing was just, it was a planet compared to all the other vehicles.
Apocalypse.
Yeah. It was amazing.
And the thing with Darkseid, I think he had a vehicle as well that came out, but then he had a playset. Now, the vehicle is at the toy store, I believe.
Yeah, there's one
Yeah.
at the toy store.
Yeah.
The one that I was describing with the pistol grip and the 2.5 foot wingspan.
Okay, yeah. And so there was supposed to be a playset, a Darkseid playset. So they never came out with the Darkseid playset, which was called Tower of Darkness playset, and it was just unproduced. It was advertised at a toy fair in 1986, and it had several intricate features. Look at this thing. I mean, it just screams like, I mean, you have this villain, and you've got, looks like a jail for, the superheroes and Superman, and
The shoulders look like Normandy Beach bunkers where they were shooting out of them and stuff.
that looked like a jail to me, but it could be exactly.
Well,
like,
the only reason I say that is because I do recognize in that particular picture, that's actually Steppenwolf.
yeah,
That looks like he's aiming a weapon out of it.
and it was apparently it included 2 rotating cannons making ominous clicking sounds. Kind of like
So it sounded like the Batmobile.
The Batmobile, yeah. Mammoth clutching arms that close tight on approaching enemies. A revolving front gate that turns into a jail cell. A rotating body vise. A head slamming elevator attached to Darkseid's victory flagpole. A captured jaw that chomps down on its captive and then drops the victim into the lava pit below. A trap door that opens into a spiked pit. Man, this place that had it all.
Jeez.
I mean, they advertised as kids saw it. Yeah, I want to say that I saw it in the Sears catalog recently whenever I was looking at archive photos of that. And I was, man, I mean, that would have been a fun place that, of course, I had no idea who Darkseid was
Right.
back then.
I wonder with the year that was advertised and with the toy lines that were coming up very shortly after, they really didn't capitalize on superpowers for long.
No.
They did quantity and they did quality, but
Yeah.
they didn't do longevity.
Right.
Because they were quickly replaced by the superheroes line, which were almost identical figures
Yeah.
without the gimmicks.
Yeah.
And this is where I would start to assume that the toy companies were picking up on the, hey, the quality's not that important. We can dumb it down a little bit and save,
Yeah.
save a couple cents a figure, that kind of thing. And that's why they remade almost all the figures came out in the superheroes line.
They did have some limited action, I think.
I mean, they did things, but they weren't.
But
They-
it wasn't like
Yeah, it wasn't
superpowers.
like superpowers. I think like the Robin still did a karate chop, but it was because it had a thing sticking out of his back for you to put your thumb
Right.
on, and you would make
You
him
just
turn.
push
And,
it.
yeah.
And
It wasn't just a regular molded figure that you would think would do nothing.
right.
And then all of a sudden it's running at super speed, or it's holding
Yeah.
up its ring, or something like that.
So in the 80s, this was for me the mother of all toys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty awesome play set. The other play sets that I had were Masters of the Universe, and they had some pretty cool play sets as well. But this, you're talking about superheroes, and you're talking about the most popular ones, and this is the Hall of Justice. But this play set had so many different things going on with it.
Helipad's gonna be
The helipad for all the different kinds of flying vehicles, like Superman's jet that he didn't need.
Yep.
Yep.
Which mine, my characters played better together, so mine was always utilized for Lex Luthor to come and visit,
Yeah.
because my Lex Luthor would always come to visit my superheroes. You have the ramp over there? Do you have the ramp over there? Or is it over here? Red ramp? Yep.
Right there.
There it is. Right there. Yeah, so comes equipped with elevators and opening doors. You've got gel cells. The way that they did the bendy plastic for the gel cell doors was it's pretty annoying if you get a bad quality one. It's one of those things that you could use it too many times,
Yeah.
and then they would just quit flinging open. You have your trapdoor to make them fall down into the jail. The computers that's set up over on Jamie's side, all of the characters would sit at those computers very well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you had where Jamie's hand is, the compartments where you could hold your characters. You had the aquatic pool, which I used that just to hold my trident, because my Aquaman was always sitting at a computer and I needed a place for the trident.
You have doorways here to walk through to the next room. And you'd see all the super logos here: Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Robin, superpowers. And I'm very glad that I found all the pieces, because originally I found this guy in the storage bin. I'm like, yes, I finally found it. Okay, where's the other stuff? Because I hope that it didn't get lost. And most all pieces, I've got most all the pieces except for this one little red
Figure holder.
figure holder, which I may still have. I just haven't come across it yet. But yeah, I mean, some of the stickers are kind of worn out, especially on the seats on this side here. They're kind of peeling off. I could probably add some extra glue or either get reprints for it. But yeah, I mean, some of these, like, you've got the elevator here. So then the superhero could walk up on the helipad and take off. whether it be Superman that takes off in his mobile jet
Or Lex.
or Lex.
Right now, it's got Wonder Woman's invisible jet up there.
Yes. But yeah. And some of these play sets are missing, like the cardboard.
Yep. Mine was
as well.
missing the cardboard. So if you were to remove the red computers on your side, and then you lift the blue part of the computers, the seats up, there's a piece of cardboard under there for when you're not using the computers. It's like a cardboard background for your wall.
Gotcha.
Mine was in pristine shape, except for that piece of cardboard. Whenever I had came across it, in one of the corners, it had water damage. So I took that piece of cardboard out and just never came across another one to replace it.
Yeah.
So my computer stayed down. As long as they were down, I wasn't missing anything.
Yeah.
That's the piece of cardboard that I was missing, but I played it off very well by keeping my computers down.
Yeah.
Aquaman was always busy typing to ChatGPT for methods on how to take care of the villains.
And then over here, if we turn this around, over here you get all the clocks with the different time zones. And then you've got computer screens or television screens back then, showing the different cities that the superheroes live in. You got Gotham, you got Metropolis. I can't really see everything that's going on there. But yeah. You know, the only thing I think that was missing up to now 84, 85, 86 is when the Superpowers line was the Batcave.
Yeah.
And it was when you saw the Super Friends show, which this line was coinciding with the Super Friends show on TV. The Batcave was very massive and just as like the Hall of Justice as well. That would have been nice to have a place that we need more Batcaves.
Yep. I think they were saving it though, because
Yeah.
like I mentioned earlier, moving out of the into the late and moving out of the 80s, you know, with the release of the 89 Batman, and they knew. There's no way they didn't know,
Yeah.
or at least plan on the majority of the DC toy line and merchandise was going to be Batman.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why, had that movie not ever been proposed, I think we would have got a Superpowers Batcave. But once they started talking about and filming that and dealing with the rights of that, I think that's when the toy designers, because they always get the heads up for toys, you know, kind of what direction companies are taking. They knew that they were about to capitalize on Batman hard.
Right.
Especially with the 90s coming up. We're talking about the mass production era. And I really think that's why the Batcave came out for superheroes. Which, do you have that one?
I do.
You do?
It's on the shelf.
That thing's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's massive. A lot of intricate parts.
Yeah. And that was actually for the 89 movie. And so Toy Biz had won the bid to take over, and they did a subpar job. Still, as a kid, those figures were awesome. Yeah, and you know, we've talked so much about superpowers and the climb up the years. You know, there's just not. We want to take a break and come back, and we'll talk about Toy Biz. We'll talk about Kenner getting back the rights for the Dark Knight collection and Batman Returns, and then Batman the Animated Series, and some of the things that you'd see in the Kenner's return is reusing some of the old Superpowers molds, especially the Penguin.
Another thing that we'll be touching on is the bajillion forms of Batman, which, from a kid's standpoint, it's like, wow, that's awesome. They took the Batman I already bought and gave him flippers and a snorkel and called him Deep Sea Batman.
Right.
I asked my mom for a second Batman figure. So as a kid, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But now looking back on it, it's like, we fell for that.
Yeah, we did.
We got our parents to buy us 50 Batmen that were identical toys except for the paint on the costumes, and they'd put one little extra, this is Metal Wing Batman.
Right.
This is
The accessories would be different.
yeah,
but
the
you can-
accessories and
yeah.
the paint job would be different.
Yeah.
And they capitalized on that one character and made they did better with him than they would have if they did all DC superheroes throughout the 90s, which they did touch on them and they did them, but not to any extent like that. But we will touch on that more.
The one thing that bugged me was that when Toy Biz had made the Batman figure, the black outfit, it looked very, very much so like the movie version, in my opinion. There's a lot different about it, but for a kid, that was the movie version of Batman. When Kenner took back the rights, they used I think they used a different chest mold for the. They had to, I think, for the Dark Knight collection and Batman Returns. Dark Knight collection, yeah, you could see that it looked very similar to the movie version of Michael Keaton's Batman. But then when Batman Returns comes out, Batman had a different costume. And it was more Art Deco muscled suit armor than the actual muscles. And so I really wanted a figure that looked just like what it looked in the movie, but they used the same mold from the Dark Knight collection and just painted the heck out of that. Different colors. And so, yeah, we'll get into that and a lot more. I mean, this goes into present day as well with McFarlane. And so we'll come back the next podcast and we'll talk about from the 90s to 2025. So join us next time.
See you guys.